Ladies and gentlemen, the star of Politically Incorrect, Bill Maher.
He is in the middle of a national stand-up tour, and up on the silver screen in the new film, Brother, Darryl M. Darryl. Hey, how you doing?
Clarence Thomas was completely lynched in his hearing.
Stop. Don't say Clarence Thomas was lynched. Clarence Thomas is alive and sitting on the Supreme Court. No, when you say a black man was lynched, don't throw that around like that's something you can just toss out there.
That's his word.
No, stop. Let's make this clear. For the Senate Majority Leader, one of the most powerful, white, affluent men, the House Majority Leader, to say that he has in some way, in any shape or form, suffered any kind of racial prejudice is so disingenuous, it's almost repugnant.
Look at the ad that was run, NAACP ad.
No, wait a minute. We can try to outshout each other. You can let me make my point.
You make yours.
So now let's break it down.
Go ahead.
All right. What the Democratic leadership in the Congressional Black Caucus isn't talking about whether or not a racist exists in the Republican Party, David Duke. What they're talking about is whether or not the Republican Party systemically and institutionally supports policies which are racist, like opposing the Voters' Rights Act of 1965, which outlawed Jim Crow practices, which were taking place in southern Florida this year to deny black folks the right to vote in this election.
More Republicans supported the Civil Rights Act than Democrats. Democrats filibustered the Civil Rights Act in 1964.
All I know is you're wearing a white hat and you're wearing a black hat. Black people don't wear that hat and white people don't wear that hat.
Look, it's like it's a
so I think that's really no. Okay.
93% of African Americans voted for Al Gore. Why? What has he ever done?
Because we didn't want George Bush. That was confusing.
I mean, I think like one of the only ways through racism is to have dialogue. I mean,
we try that, but it becomes
and then of course interracial babies till we're all one color, which pisses a lot of people off.
That's what white folks are scared of. They hate the whole thought of interracial relationship because they always
I'm not scared of it. I think it's a fabulous idea.
Oh, it is. It's true. It's true. It's a good thing. Because if you put two ugly people together and they have an interracial baby, it's always cute. That's ugly people's only shot at getting a cute child is go interracial. You see this beautiful, exotic-looking woman, and you look at them both like, oh, God. And then you see the black father, you go, I got it. That's how it works.
Okay.
But Louis, what you were saying is true, that I believe that individually there are racists on both sides of the aisle. I don't doubt that racism is somehow impervious to Congress. What I do believe, though, is as a majority or as a party, the Republican Party tries to oppose racially progressive issues. When you can take Colin Powell, who's the most respected black Republican, he stood up at the Republican National Convention and said, we as a party need to support affirmative action, and got his ass booed by Republicans. That tells you where Republicans are hurt, and that's why the ones that aren't going to and the Republican kids that aren't going to private school, George Bush is advocating we give them vouchers to get them the hell out of the public school and send them to the private schools. So that's why Republicans ain't got nothing to do.
It is a fallacious argument to say that because Democrats control the school boards, there are 12 other factors involved, that it's the Democrats who are...
If it's a matter of policy, then it's their responsibility. This girl is my friend. She teaches. They were talking about the education system and the election. And all the kids were like, I'm furious that Bush won. I'm furious that Bush won. And they're like, she's like, well, why? And they said, because we are going back to slavery. Now, what do you say if you are a white person or you are a Republican? That's the message going through. And she said, where did you hear that? And she goes, well, my preacher. That's where they're getting, that's the information getting these kids. What are you supposed to do?
Look, if you want to talk about politicized rhetoric, we could go and talk about...
Just answer my question. Don't
don't tell me how to answer your question. Let me speak for myself. Because I believe I asked you what inner city school you were last in, and I never got an answer to that. So you'll wait till I get around to it.
Go ahead.
So now, as we were saying...
So,
as we were saying, the point about...
I smell an ass whooping coming up in the front.
And I kind of wish it was me. I like it.
But the point about whether or not someone makes a reference to slavery or the type of practices and makes some sort of, you know, a reference it has no bearing on fact and reality. The fact is
the fact is that young, impoverished children are going to public schools that need help. They need teachers that need help. They need teachers that need funding. They need school books. They need all the help they can get. And that isn't a Democrat or Republican problem, and it certainly wasn't something that was created by Democrats. And if y'all have all the answers, why don't you fix it? We are trying to fix it.
So
What has Jesse Jackson ever done for the African
Well, he wasn't in our district.
What has Jesse Jackson ever done for it? Do you live in America?
Hustling poverty pimp. He has made millions of
wait a minute.
dollars.
You need to back up now. Wait a minute. You gonna call Jesse Jackson a pimp?
A poverty pimp.
A poverty pimp.
Absolutely. He goes in.
You gonna say that on national television?
Wait a second. To be fair, he's quoting J.C. Watts called him.
Exactly. Who is black, by the way.
Yeah, but he's an Uncle Tom.
Wait.
Right, exactly. What has Maxine Waters ever done besides run around and talk about
Whoa, Maxine Waters?
That racist? How has her district changed? How have her citizens in her district gotten any better off? They haven't.
Well, let me ask you a question. Who did Maxine Waters and Jesse Jackson execute? George Bush is killing black folks and Latinos in Texas every week. So but back up off. No, you called Jesse Jackson a poverty pimp. What Jesse Jackson did was go rescue American hostages overseas. What Jesse Jackson did was run for president. What Jesse Jackson did is every time an African American has found himself in need of help in terms of racial injustice, Rainbow Coalition,
better in the black community.
What has gotten better in the black community? Don't talk about Jesse Jackson being.
I'll tell you what has gotten better in the black community. Their visibility. The visibility. Jesse Jackson gets visibility.
And makes millions of dollars, has never had a job.
Well, George Bush makes millions of dollars.
Let me explain something.
There's a billboard on I-95, or there was, for the vagina monologues. It was 20 feet high, so the word vagina was 20 feet high. It actually said the vagina monologues spread the word. Now, I'm not kidding. So this state senator objected. He said, you know, I can turn off the TV, I can turn off the radio, but I can't turn off that if my kids are in the car. And you know what? I tend to agree with them. I think.
Yeah. Except it gives an opportunity for that parent to explain.
See,
but that's the whole point.
Well, I think freedom of speech. Where do you limit it then? I think it goes speaks to that directly.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Let's be clear that the vagina is not slang. It's not an epithet. It's standard English. And if you lack the ability to parent and explain what vagina is to your child, you shouldn't have the right to breathe.
I agree.
I think if your kid's old enough to like read it and pronounce it, that you should have a dialogue about a vagina.
Bottom line. But the whorehouse issue should be just as easily tabled as any other adult conversation. If a child can sit there and read, "Mommy, what's a little whorehouse?" you say, "Look, don't worry about it. That's an adult something that you don't need to worry about," and we move on. Just like we say, "Well, Mommy and Daddy are having an adult conversation. This is not for children," and you move on. And if you don't have the ability to table that conversation, again, you shouldn't be a parent.
Yeah, but you know what? A parent.
You're talking about a parent should have the right to choose their time, but a parent never really has that right. You're never ready for.
What do you mean?
Because you can't. When a girl first gets that time of the month, you can't plan that. When your child decides to have sex, you can't plan when he's going to do that. When they come to you and say, "Daddy, I need your help," it doesn't matter if you're on the phone. You got to stop and talk to them.
All right.